You're listening to Career Compass with Patrick and Cha-Cha on Base 101.1 FM.
It is Career Compass. My name is Cha-Cha. You can call me the Happy Fairy. There's something quite important on the streets in this day and age. A lot of people wonder when or how to get side gigs. I mean, you have a job, but these days economy is looking like there's something fishy with your job. It's just that you're not earning enough. And we're wondering now, should you tell your boss about your side hustle, or do you need to keep it low key? I've got the almighty HR in the studio. Good morning.
Morning, Cha-Cha. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah, so, as an Igbo babe that I am, always representing, making money, getting, the economy right in our favor. I'm curious, if, say, for instance, I have this beautiful job, do I need to tell my boss that I have a side gig? Is this something that I should keep to myself, or is this a conversation that is necessary? A lot of times, people even do their side gigs in their offices, inside. Some people, they sell chin-chin. Should your boss know that you're having a side gig?
All right. Morning, Cha-Cha.
Good morning.
So, first of all, we know that side gigs is the new normal, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody, a survey was done, and it was discovered that over 80% of employees across, from top to bottom, all have side gigs. So, everybody, everybody have their secret identity, right? Cha-Cha is OAP by day.
Mm-hmm. What about by night? You don't know.
By night, engineer by night. So, I mean, be whatever it is. Side gig could be a passion. Mm-hmm. It could just be something you're passionate about. It could be another business. It could be something within your profession, or something another profession entirely. I mean, so you never know. Cha-Cha might be a medical doctor for all we know, and she's an OAP in the morning, and then later in the day she goes to the hospital and she's treating patients. So people, in order to survive in this world, the world of work today, need multiple skill sets, have multiple skill sets, and you find out that your job is not all that defines you. Right. So it's nobody lives for the paycheck, just one paycheck, to make it. So now in the event where you do have, you have your normal identity and you have your alter ego, right? OAP by day and God knows what else
at night.
All right. So
Dracula.
So what do you do? So there are two sides to the coin, right? On one hand, there are situations where you need to disclose, right? So we'll start off with situations where you really need to disclose. First of all, sometimes your employment contract might mandate that you disclose, all right? So even though it's not so common anymore, but yes, there's still some old school employers that puts in that moonlighting clause. That's what it's called, where there's a strict policy against moonlighting, where you can't have this job and another job, and in the event that you do, you need to disclose of it publicly. Some companies have other business interest disclosure that is done every year, especially if you work in a highly regulated industry where if you own any shareholdings, you have any shareholdings in any company, or anybody directly related to you, like your spouse or immediate siblings has substantial shareholdings in any company, you have to disclose. So in those cases where you are legally mandated or policy mandates that you disclose, you have to disclose whatever business or side gig you're doing. Then if there's a possible conflict of interest, so for example, your side gig puts you in some form of competition with your employer. So for example, your employer is into training, and you own your own training firm, you have to disclose. Right. Your employer is into oil and gas, and you're into oil and gas. You have so in those cases, it's just the morally right thing to do. You disclose, and then if it's going to affect your time, all right, so I'm here today with the express blessings of my boss. All right, so because what I'm doing here is going to take some of my productive hours of the day, I need to, my employer disclose. Cannot, yes, I need to disclose. And then if you're using company resources, like you said, if you're using the company laptop, like me said, when I talk that one. So yeah, if you're using company resources, airtime, you might need to disclose. And yeah, if you're I know of some companies that actually support entrepreneurship.
Right.
So if your company is going to support you, then why not? If not, go ahead, disclose.
You know, I do like the fact that you've rated me highly. I mean, you gave 2 examples of a possible, maybe not possible, but say Chacha is OAP by day. You called me engineer, you called me medical doctor. Ha! Now me they run things. So, but look, when is it okay to keep it low key? I know you've said that you should be able to disclose, but when do you think you should just keep it low key and hush hush?
All right, so if your side gig is completely unrelated to your job, right? It's nobody's business. So let's say Chacha is OAP by day, yoga instructor by night.
Sexy.
So it's nobody's business, right? So don't ask, don't tell. If they see you in a gym,
good luck.
I mean, like you said, good luck. It's nobody's business. I know of a situation where someone who's heading business developments in one company by day, and weekends she was actually an OAP for a popular TV station. She does it weekends, does it during non-work hours.
Right.
So if you're doing it, if your side hustle is done outside of your work hours as well, it's your personal time. So you don't technically owe your employer, it's too much information to tell your employer what you do during your personal time. I mean,
right.
If you want to avoid, being judged, okay, as not being a team player or an organizational citizen, you may just want to keep it low key. And if your contract of employment doesn't specifically ban outside work, then you can go ahead and do it without feeling the need to disclose.
Well, I just wonder if companies should actually encourage side hustles as a way to keep the employees relatively creative or motivated. If you owned your own company, would you advise that your staff members should have side gigs?
Yeah. So you see, let me start with our employment law. You see, our employment law is reminiscent of an old dead era. So our employment law dated as far back as the colonial era, where it was a master-servant relationship. So what is typically the mentality of a master-servant relationship is that your master owns you lock, stock and barrel. So even what you do outside of when you're working for him, it becomes his business. But that's no longer the case. It's no longer a master-servant relationship. So I mean, employers should learn to turn a blind eye to what employees do during their non-work hours.
Right.
And so I'll say this, look, there's some advantages to turning the blind eye, okay? On one hand, it boosts loyalty, so you don't have to force your employees to choose between their job and their passion or their side gig. Because since there's no need for that choice, then there's no need for them to leave or make. So it boosts loyalty. You mentioned, yes, it can help their creativity. So there are learnings there's some learnings you would take away from your side gig that you could transfer even to your job. So you lose some money in the side gig, you become more careful in your personal in your 9 to 5, right? Yeah, it prevents burnout in some case, because a passionate employee is a happy employee, right? If you feel fulfilled in your passion as a human being, that same passion will be transferred to your work,
right? And
you end up being more productive.
Today we're talking about side gigs, side hustles while you're at work. If you're just at this moment, see, this economy is not smiling. So a lot of people have been encouraged to get side hustles so that you can make ends meet. Some people work in a place where you're not encouraged to have side hustles, and we've spoken about what to do. But look, what if your company doesn't encourage side hustle and you want one? What do you do next?
Okay, so if your company doesn't encourage side hustles, what do you do? So do they so I'll just take it that in that situation there's an express ban on it, right? All forms of side hustle. I mean, even government allows civil servants to do agriculture, right? So I mean, even agriculture, they don't want you to go into farming. That's a strong
red flag.
I mean, it's a big red flag to me. It just shows that there's some underlying issues, okay? And maybe not all these underlying issues are irrelevant. I mean, there's some relevance. So some employers fear they fear divided loyalty. All right, that so if employees have side gigs, their loyalty will be divided. I don't agree to that. I know somebody who's an internal auditor and a DJ. He bought the DJ equipment, so internal auditor by day, DJ by night. So I don't, and it doesn't affect his day job.
Right.
Some employers are just, they have control issues. They feel, look, if they find out that you're doing something over the weekend, that weekend they will fix staff meeting, compulsory, physical. So yeah, some employers have these control issues, right? And like I said earlier on, it's just reminiscent of some outdated thinking, right? Where they feel because you work for them, they own you lock, stock and barrel. But the employers need to realize that a job is just one part of our life.
True.
It's not all of what we live and exist to do. Yeah.
I hail you for that one. Now, a lot of companies don't encourage side hustles. Like you said, they're outdated thinking. They have control issues. But look, what if you now have a side hustle and you kept it low-key and then they find out? And then, again, what if your side hustle now blows up big? Would you advise for someone to quit or try to juggle both? Why? You might just quit.
All right, so these are two questions in one. Let's split it. So first question is, what if you kept your side hustle low-key
and they found out
and it's casted?
I
mean, so the cat is out of the bag. You might as well own it. So there's no need. Please don't try to deny it. You might just throw up integrity issues on your part, right? So own it with your full chest.
Right.
So if you're confronted with a side hustle which you kept low-key but has come out to the open, own it. Yes, I do this by the side and it's not affecting. So what I would advise you to do quickly is to reassure your employer of your ability to deliver. So somebody once said, we pay for performance, not for attendance.
Right.
So we're not paying employees just to be present in the office. We pay for performance. So assure your employer that your performance would not falter because of the side gig. Assure your employer that your loyalty remains undivided. Assure your employer that you're not using their time or their resources for the side gig. And then you wait for their decision.
Right.
So they might even if there's a rule, there's always an exception to the rule. If your performance is really up there, they might turn the other cheek, and if they don't, you have to accept the consequences of your choice.
Now, what if it blows up big? Should you quit your job, or should you quit your side business, or do you try to juggle both of them?
Okay, so there are cases where it becomes practical for you to quit your main gig. So for example, your side gig blows and your annual salary from your main gig, your side gig is making it in 2-3 months.
I'm leaving the job. I'm out of there. I'm out.
So yes, I mean, I was speaking to someone over the weekend, and a lady, she said she has a side gig. In fact, she said it is her side gig that funds the main gig.
No lie.
Yes, seriously. So in that case, she asked me, she was like, what should she do in such a situation? I said, look, growing a business takes the same amount of time it takes to grow a career. So you just started the business, you just started the career, right? I can't tell you which one will blow at the end of the day, but I tell you that you need to invest time in both. So it's a
dilly-dally situation.
Yes, it's 50-50, but you need to choose. Now, if your side gig is paying more than your main gig, you in the short term you may say, oh, go with the side gig. But what if your main gig maybe has more potential?
To be honest, I was thinking to myself that sometimes you take the main gig, even if it's paying less, you use that salary that you get there to just run around. I'm the type of person who wants to do multiple things. I never get to, but I always want to do multiple things so that I know that if this money is coming from here to take care of transport, take care of this and that, but sometimes it's a little bit too much. I think when someone should quit either of these jobs is when one of the jobs is taking more attention than the other, and you can't handle it.
I mean, so sometimes, like in this case I gave, the lady's side gig, the reason why she still has the 9 to 5 because she does a side gig from home. And she just wants to be able to go out.
Right.
So sometimes your job doesn't just give you experience, it gives you exposure. So some of the contacts you make from going out, going to work, meeting people, you could also use that to gain business for your side gig, so long as there's no conflict of interest with your employer. So so it's difficult to say stop or don't stop. It's you treat it on the merits of each case. In some cases it may be advisable to the side gig will become the main gig, and the job 9 to 5 becomes the side gig for you.
If you have a side hustle, I say I salute you. You are a strong man or woman, because it's not easy to juggle your side hustle and your main job. Now, why do you think people need to try and juggle? We do know that sometimes two of them are fighting each other. I support people juggling both, except when it becomes too much. But why do you say people should think about juggling two jobs, their personal jobs, the entrepreneur, and also the job that you're being paid for as an employee?
All right, so the first thing is I'll say is, you see, your paycheck gives you some form of stability, because your paycheck is steady, right? You can plan on that, you can bank on that, and in some cases that's just free capital for your side gig, right? So that's one reason why it may be advisable for you to try to juggle both, for a while before you come to a point where you need to make a decision, and then it gives you time to become ready. So sometimes your side gig needs some time to nurture. It's like a baby, right? You just gave birth to a baby. For some years this baby will be dependent on you. After some years the child becomes independent of you, and then after some years the child can get to a point where the child can take care of you. Same thing with your side gig. For some years it's going to be a startup, right? And as a startup it will be almost dependent completely on you, right? After some time it could scale up, and then your side gig can pick up its bills before your side gig can start picking up your bills. So that period, you have the safety net of your 9 to 5. And then, you're acquiring skills, you're learning along the way. Many times when we start businesses, we're as green as the business, right? So we learn on the job, or we learn whilst the business is on, and we make the mistakes along the way. Again, you still have the safety net of your 9 to 5 to fall back to, and then you test the sustainability of your side gig, if it's strong enough to pick up its bills and yours as well.
Right. Now, in conclusion, what would you wrap this up by advising people?
All right, so to wrap it up, first, before you start a side gig, check your current employment contract. Does it permit you to have a side gig or not? Whilst you have your side gig running, make sure you protect your performance. As long as your side gig does not affect your performance at your current job, then you remain you remain safe. Also, you have to stay professional. Do not disclose if you don't have to. It's your personal time. You have the prerogative to do what you want to do with your personal time, unless it raises legal issues. If it's clean, if it's harmless, if it's separate, keep it separate. I think in conclusion I'll say, look, if your side hustle demands the same energy as a full-time job, it may be time to make a decision. And finally, if it's a spark and not yet a fire, protect your paycheck, all right, while you build for your future. Thank you.
Every time something enters my system and you say something, I'm like, That's what plays in my head.
All right.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Absolutely enjoyed this conversation. Just in case someone is still a bit confused about a couple of things, how can they find you to just tap from you?
All right, so I'm available. You can catch me on social media. I'm Patrick UMO on LinkedIn, Patrick UMO on Instagram, Patrick UMO on YouTube, Patrick UMO on TikTok. Follow me for more.
Do you dance on TikTok?
Definitely not.
To everybody out there who is doing a side gig, you're doing a side hustle and you're working, I give you thumbs up. If you're just starting your business as well, I give you thumbs up. If you just have a job, I give you thumbs up.
You're listening to Career Compass with Patrick and Cha-Cha on Base 101.1 FM.